Against this right back, Charlie.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
You always use that active when defending. I think it's like.
Are we live? Of course we're live. People, deluded. I'm back again. It's another Arsenal talk. First things first. Jay, appreciative, man, to you being not only tuned in, but it's been an absolute madness trying to get to this point. I've been going through mad things. You've been a great sport, man. I appreciate that, man. I really do, man. Time's a commodity we all got to spend. So big up yourself, man. And apologies for the difficulties, bro.
Nah, no right, bro. I see you come through the new intros as well, yeah?
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Shout out the editors, man. Before we continue, obviously, you're an Arsenal fan. Like, I saw you in the comments on one of the vids and I clicked on it and I was like, yeah, I like this guy's chat, man. We have to reason. Let people know where they can find you and all that good stuff as well, man.
Yeah, man. JayFergusonTV on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, and again, big up yourself for reaching out anyway, because, you know, it's people like yourself, Curtis Shaw, your brothers I've watched like years back. You understand what I'm saying? And then it got to like 2024. I was like, you know what? If them man can do it, I'm gonna just try it in it.
No, keep going, man. Keep going, bro. Like again, the platform. This is what I like, innit? Like I don't care if you've got 1,000 subscribers or one. If you talk legitimate football and I like your points, I don't even have to agree. But if I can see that you're articulate, like I saw with yourself, their door is always open because that's what I champion on my channel, man. Obviously, this is the first time me asking you, what have you felt of Mikel Arteta at Arsenal so far, man, up until this point?
Do you know what? It's been turbulent, bro, to say the least. And I always say it with Arsenal, because we've had that level of success, and I'm fortunate enough to be of that age where I'm around those times when we're winning titles. It's either Man United or Arsenal was winning the league, right? Then obviously Wenger became almost like that dad figure for the majority of us, because that's all we knew, right? For the best part of a couple of decades. So that transition period from Wenger to Emery, Ljungberg, and now to the point where we are with Arteta, is kind of like, is he the guy who's going to bring us back to those times? And I think that's where a lot of Arsenal fans, where we find ourselves, because we've had nothing for so long. Any glimmer of hope, we're championing this guy. And I think maybe, for me, I still think he could be our Brendan Rodgers to what he was to Liverpool.
Explain that, man. Explain that. Because that's something I've seen going around, man. Like I don't get it personally, and it's not even to defend Arteta. I've just seen it, and
you know what it is. It goes like this, right? Liverpool are the exact same. Liverpool weren't much, right? Yeah, they got a couple Champions Leagues, but in terms of Premier League, they weren't really doing much for a long period of time, right? Brendan came in. He had that Suarez, Sturridge, Sterling front three. It was a mad thing. Everyone was enjoying their football. Everyone wanted to watch Liverpool play. You know what I mean?
Anfield, yeah.
It was tearing up teams. But ultimately, Brendan Rodgers did not get over the finishing line.
Nearly, man.
Is the title. And I see a lot of the similar traits. Because when Brendan came in, people was thinking, Brendan, Liverpool, that's a step up. It's the same with Arteta. This is his first job. First
quality job to get as your first managerial job. It's crazy.
And this is what I'm trying to say to you. When you think this guy is gone from ex-footballer, the Peps #2, to now managing Arsenal Football Club in a short period of time.
No time at all.
Do you know what I mean? So when I look at, I'm thinking he's definitely got the likes of me back, wanting to watch Arsenal, because for the longest period of time, it was just a highlight thing. Let me see the results.
We're uninspiring to our own supporters, man.
Do you see what I mean? So he's done a lot of the groundwork, very much the similar stuff what Brendan did. He's got the level of football what people want to watch. He's got fans back on board. He's got fans wanting to wear merch again. All of these things. He's gave hope. But when I looked at last season, I was thinking, bro, how do you not win the title from there? 8 points clear at one period of time. And then I'm just looking at thinking, this has got a lot of deja vu to Brendan Rodgers, because he was the exact same. You're thinking, bro, look how far ahead you are. Look at the football you're playing. How do you not win the title? What did Liverpool do? Crash, bang, wallop, got Klopp in, titles came, Champions Leagues came, FA Cups, all the rest of it came. So for me, he has to get it done this season, or I'm looking at him thinking he's just the nearly man.
Bro, like, you know what? You set this up in the best way. And I think with this Arteta thing, I think, you probably see it. Like, I think there's very few people in the camp like us, or in general, that there's balance. You praise and critique where fairly, legitimate concerns, legitimate reasons for optimism. I think there's a lot of people, and quite frankly, younger than me, 28 years of age, that have only seen really Mikel Arteta, and this hasn't been anything close to as competitive, definitely during the Emirates, isn't it? And there's some people that are not necessarily convinced. I do believe what you're saying in that. I do think the conversation, you indirectly said it, now shifts of, the rebuild. You've shown you can do that. You're great at that. Now it's, can you win a title and stuff? So what do you like? Should he be sacked if he doesn't necessarily bring a champs or a prem this year then?
See, this is where it's complicated, because there's not a ready-made replacement where you say, yeah, that's going to be the guy. Where at the time before, when we needed a manager, Pep was available. But Arsenal didn't show the intent to go out and get him, so he ended up at Man City. There's not one guy who I could confidently sit here and say that guy will get us over the finishing line. So it's a tough one, because on one hand, this is where I probably sound like a hypocrite, because I'm saying, boy, if he doesn't win something, how much more do we go? But on the other hand, I'm saying, who do we bring in? But I'm looking at and I'm saying to myself, I see a lot of fans there saying, a title challenge and go far in the Champions League is good enough. For me, how I look at it, I'm thinking, how can it be good enough? When we're saying, and a lot of people say, oh, but we're against Man City, they're a machine. They're a machine. But last year, we didn't lose the Premier League because of Man City.
We choked.
Yeah, we choked. There would be a big difference if we lost 10, 12 games. Like usual, we was 15, 20 points behind. And
we're top of the table for like 200 odd days, if I'm not mistaken.
The most ever in history.
Yeah, madness.
Do you see what I mean? So when I look at that, I'm saying we can't say, oh, it's Man City. No. Last year it was definitely us. So then people are telling me the narrative of, okay, they're going to learn from this. You need to go through these emotions to come back stronger, to become back more streetwise, thicker skin, the know-how, right? So if they've gone through that trauma of last year, surely they're more conditioned to go ahead and win it this year. In theory, right?
Yeah.
Especially after spending XY amount in the summer to enhance what they left off from last year. So I'm looking at them thinking the title should be here this year. And only if it's not, questions should be asked, but they're not going to be asked. And I tell you, and I was having the same conversation with one of my boys when I was trying to explain to him, because he's on the side of, no, Arteta's the guy, give him time. I'm like, certain Arsenal fans, they're moving like, when you've got a girl, she's been through bare mad relationships.
I could tell this is good.
She's been through mad relationships. The guy ain't treating her good at all. Her girl, her mom's telling her, you got to leave him. He's a waste of space, right? Then eventually she gets one you who just says, good morning.
Yeah,
how's your day going? Midday.
Just won't leave her alone in the texts. Double texting and all sorts. She starts to feel sexy
night.
Again.
Checks in on her birthday, just does normal stuff. And all of a sudden, he's a Superman to her.
Yeah.
Her previous track record of men is terrible.
Just appalling.
And I feel like Arsenal, we've become conditioned to this because we haven't won something for so long. Any little glimmer of hope, we're like, yeah, this is the guy. He has to be the guy. Because we don't know anything better.
That's
but I'm old school. I'm that invincible area, bro. So I'm looking and I'm saying, bro, there's only so long you could keep on saying title challenge, go far in the Champions League. At what point do we say to Arteta, no, we need some silverware? let's not even get into the fact that we keep on throwing away domestics competitions.
Bro, this is why I knew you was a real one. You know, that's why I had to get you on my channel. I've been unimpressed. I lean more to the camp of Arteta in there out, but I don't believe in backing someone religiously. I don't think Arteta's earned that right at the football club.
So how long would you give him?
Huh?
How long would...
It's the thing you said there in that. What is the fallout plan? Like, and I don't think that should be a reason to say keep Mikel Arteta just because we ain't got a plan B and things like that. But what is the fallout plan? Because we've committed all this money. You know, unlike Emre, whatever Arteta asking for, he's getting. It seems like definitely during the Emirates era, where the owners are concerned, where Arteta's concerned, and everybody else, like we're singing rightly or wrongly from the same hymn sheet. So then I'm like, when is the process gonna process really? I think we're at that point, bro, where I'm more onto Mikel Arteta because I praise you for the rebuild, but money's been spent. It's like you can't even blame the Cronkies anymore. Any penny you spend has to be verified. I know Kai Havertz is finding his form, but in the summer, and I'm just an ignorant fan, I don't know football like him. Was that the signing to get us closer to Pep City? I'm sure you saw a couple months ago, Arteta was saying we've got one of the finished squads in the league. If you said that in your first year, I would hear that, Arteta. But you're a smart man. I rate you so much. I know that you know ball, and you've already been burnt in the league to know why you shouldn't do that. You know, and it does, as much as I like our project, and I just think it can be a bit naive. Like if we're doing this youngster thing, then all the other variables have to be spot on because ultimately the youngsters are going to go through their patches of form like you saw in December, and we're kind of clawing that back. And even that, the fact that we're still in the title challenge with what we did in December tells you there's something there. But I think there should be a legitimate, like you see, if you're at a job for a year, right? And you've done some good, but you've done some bad. You're going for your end of year performance where there's legitimate things, and they say if you don't do X, Y, Z. Now, next year, things can happen. I think in the next 12 months, if that is the case, Arsenal need to be assessing people who fit this remit, people that do what Arteta is doing, and then moving forward with it, man. So I'd say next year, but I think genuine question marks now. Genuine. I think even last season, genuine question marks.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So when people are bigging up the Kroenkes now, I'm still not. Because it's as simple as this, right? Is I think the Kroenkes are content with Arsenal being the plucky underdog. I think they like that. Yeah. I think they like that narrative of we could do it. The fact that there's hope, I think they're winning. I think if every year Arsenal keep on turning up and finishing 3, 4, 5 points off the top, semi-finals or wherever in the Champions League, I think for the Kroenkes, I think they're content with that. Because Arsenal are back in the conversation. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree.
So when I look at the Kroenkes, and I've said it in one of my videos, I was like, they've got the appetite when they want to. The exact same with like the Denver Nuggets. There was like the Joker, let's go and drop him the bag. What did they do? They won the NBA Finals last year.
You see all their other sports, what they're doing.
Do you see what I mean? Same with the LA Rams. The guy paid billions in fines to bring them to LA, right? Gave Odell Beckham the bag, made a superstar team. What did he do? He won the Super Bowl. The same with his hockey. I know people say, oh, but he spent money on Declan Rice, X, Y, Z. When we're looking at the landscape of the Premier League, 105 million on Declan Rice is standard. We should be getting a couple of those per season. In reality, right?
Facts. So I think that's the scenario we're moving into. Definitely where the summer is concerned, with a striker amongst other things in the centre mid.
Because I'm looking and I'm saying, I don't think the pressure's coming from the board in terms of the expectation. And especially when you've got someone like the likes of Edu, because if I'm super invested in my club, I'm going to be saying, how come we don't make money? At some point,
we're not really notoriously known for selling players. Yeah. Balogun was the first one, really, off the top of my quickly, with maybe Willett, that's gone for decent P's. Really.
Do you know what I mean? But it's like, how do Chelsea manage to get all of these academy guys out who we've never even seen
definitely
play
need to learn from them
for 10, 12, 50 million, right? So I'm looking at it, I'm thinking the pressure's not coming from the board. I think just the fact that he's going to go back-to-back years with a title sort of challenge there, back in the Champions League, I think that's credit in terms of Kroenke's viewpoint. And I think the fans, again, like I said, we've had so little. just
This
even
is
the
just
fact that we
optimism.
can walk around with a little bit of confidence again, I think a lot of fans are okay with that.
And I think you're bang on the money, man. And I think that's where fans need to have balance. I agree with everything you said with the Cronkies, but then I'm at the point now where I accept that. All right, cool. This is what you lot doing it. You have a hands-off approach in certain sports. You get the people in charge. Cool, boom, do what you're doing. You've kind of done that at Arsenal, and this is where I'm even more at Arteta and Edu, because I get it. You know, the owner of any company, any failures or successes indirectly are with them. But if I move away from KSC, them man have given you peas. I praise you for the signings you've done. I praise you for the signings you haven't. And especially when you hear this FFP stuff and our thin squad, Arteta is going to have to hold that really and truly, because we're at that stage where I don't think it's right for me to sit here and say Kroenke out, Kroenke out, Kroenke out, because I think it is on Arteta and Edu. And I think like the players on the football field, they're kind of showing their naiveties, even how we've assembled the squad. You know, we've got strikers who can do good things in the final third, but none of them are goal scorers. You know, we haven't addressed central midfield. We keep saying the same things about depth. Now, I know I give a man grace. You can't fix everything, but it feels like we're watching the same old movie at times and we're asking for a different ending. I praise Arteta for the rebuild, for the systems, for the, you know, all the things you're doing. But now the conversation is league titles. And I do agree, you know, it's difficult with City and Liverpool. But I do feel at the same time, there's many variables that we don't arrest on and on the field, you know, because we lost last season because of our own. We are not at the top and kind of flying off our own back. We can be our own best friends and worst enemies at times.
And I hear exactly what you're saying. So for me, like you said, it's not a Kroenke out thing. But for me, it becomes a conversation if we keep on going through this same cycle of, oh, we nearly did it. We nearly did it. At some point, you got to say, unless you're getting rid of this guy, it has to be you guys what go. Because someone who's really invested is not going to stand for that. So for me, Kroenke, the fact that they've freed up the checkbook in terms of Rice, Kai Havertz, and all the rest of it, right? They've bought themselves time and credit in the bank.
Yeah, definitely. Because I just said I'm not onto them. Like there was a time every Arsenal fan was onto them.
Yeah, because I'm looking at that, and even when I'm looking at Liverpool as a sort of a gauge, more so than Man City, I'm saying, okay, everyone always talks about Haaland, right? How comes we have a manager who's meant to be team project youth, but we can't see any of these young guys being played?
And that's a question I wish I had an answer for.
Do you know what I mean? Because you think, all right, money is not always going to be available. But I'm looking at games and I'm thinking, you know, Saka's been dreadful. Like, obviously, he's picked up form in the last few games, but I'm talking prior to the Dubai.
Before this little run of form.
Prior to Dubai, I'm looking at Saka and thinking, surely there has to be a young academy guy who we could throw on for the last 15 minutes
just to
see. Because let's remember, this is exactly how Saka got there.
And Smith Rowe and Eddie Nketiah to a degree. Half of them that are around there. And even you put them in the shop window as well. If they're not good enough, you might get some peas.
And that's what you have to do. So it's not always money, because Liverpool, you know, they've got Trent, they've got Robbo playing at left back. You know, these are Trent Academy. Robbo is like an unknown guy who's come from Hull.
He went from Hull. He weren't a sexy signing. They used to have Wijnaldum and that. Mane, people look down their nose at Southampton.
And that's my problem with Arteta. It's the talent ID. That's his problem.
And that's where I agree, because I think it can be hit and miss. Sometimes it's like we're trying to be a bit too clever. Like I know Havertz is kind of finding some form, and hindsight's a wonderful thing.
He's not finding form.
Bro. In line with Kai Havertz. Do I want to see this? Do I think it's good enough? Do I wish we was having this conversation? No, but accepting Kai for what he is and where we're at now, and I can't change it, I would say he is. And that's where I think we're trying to be a bit too complicated. Where you said with the youth thing, and just in general, my biggest thing for Arsenal is we need to remember that it's Arsenal FC, not Arteta. I don't want a man to make mistakes here, do good things, and then he goes to another club where there's more pressure and say, oh, that didn't bang over there. Over these sides, I'm going to do this and see where we're going. But where the youth is concerned, I think it's just a creme de la creme thing. I think unless you're on the Saka team coming from the academy, I don't think he's on it. I think he can work with a Saliba, work with a Saka, a Smith Rowe, and all of these kind of guys. But I don't think it's going to be the Arsene Wenger charity minutes. But I agree with you, because he can put them in the shop window, we can plug gaps, and we can maneuver. And I think the talent ID has been hit and miss, because for every Jesus, I actually think Zinchenko's been all right for all his faults, Rice and a couple of others, there's been a bag of L's, man. We signed bare goalies, we've had Marie, and I'm using this without context because there was some stopgap signings, but I do think the talent ID could be better, and I do hope we get a striker in the summer, personally, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I don't even think it needs to be the extreme of how Wenger used to do it in terms of youth.
Yeah.
Right?
It don't have to be that.
Where you knew Carling Cup, you knew it's going to be about 8 academy guys playing, right? But I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, all right, if you got someone like Ethan, and how do you pronounce this guy?
Ethan Nwaneri, yeah, he's 16. I think he'll come through, though. I think he's a bit like the Saka thing. Like, them man will always come through. It's because the others I want to see Arteta do a thing.
I'm just thinking, though, because we was thinking, who is Saka when he first came in, right? Our left back guy, overlap. Okay, this is the new Ashley Cole. Like, who's this young guy? He came through at a time where it was like, Lundberg is saying, boy, I'm under pressure. There's no money there.
Let me just bust.
Let me try a thing. And I think, especially like games like when we had PSV in the last group stages of like Champions League.
The dead rubber ones where you're seeing Cedric.
Bro, come on. Don't bring these kids all the way from GCSEs, college or wherever to come and chill on the bench.
They're all gassing the girls that they're making their debut today.
Bro, do you see what I'm trying to say? I know they was in their DM saying,
followers, man.
You know what? Tune in, I'm gonna be playing, Champions League. Man went all the way to Holland to chill on the bench. It's mad.
You see a man on the bench, vexed, like
Vex. Of course, I would be vexed as well because you think you're through.
I would as well, man, because it's a dead rubber game as well, really. Like the PSV and who did we beat 6-0? West Ham. I don't disagree with Wenger, Arteta not bringing them on, but that's where I'm looking like Arteta. Like, come on, man, show them that the pathway's here. Because honestly, Koza, Dewberry and Waters, their contracts are running down. I'm not saying they should leave, but if Arsenal are getting better and more competitive and fighting for leagues, we already know that's less chances for you. If everybody's fit, you're not getting a chance, and the gaffer doesn't exactly want to give you a chance. I'm keeping it moving personally in the summer. I'm doing what I need to do to be a professional footballer.
And that's what we do a terrible job at. We don't maintain the illusion of this person's elite. Like Arsenal, we always make it obvious we don't want this guy, or we have no interest in really particularly playing him. I think that's where we've got to do a better job, because I'm looking and thinking, is Cedric going to be here next year? I hope not.
No, his contract running down. He's just getting the bag.
Is El Neni going to be here next year? I hope not. So I'm looking and thinking, instead of throwing those guys on for 10, 20 minutes when you're winning 3, 4, 5-0, throw on a youth. So at least a club mid-table like a Palace, a Fulham are going to be looking at this guy and thinking, oh, okay, he looks like something. Maybe we go and drop a 15, 20 million on them in summer. Do you see what I mean? But yeah, no, to your point, striker, midfield and a winger is needed for me for this summer.
I think everybody's with that. And then obviously it's about whatever else Arteta wants. I don't know how anyone else feels, but I just feel and again, I know injuries happen, but it just feels a bit silly if we're trying to fight for a league and, Tomiyasu, I love the guy, picks up knocks. Thomas Partey, forever in the physio room. Zinchenko, Jesus have been picking up knocks. There's, Timber, I allow him, it's a big injury, but we've got several players, even Jorginho, and Nelson and Smith Rowe, they're picking up knocks. It's like either have enough depth so these men are irrelevant, or maybe get rid. I'm not saying sell everyone, but it's not the strongest of foundations to build upon, really and truly. I've got a couple of questions before I let you cut. Yeah, first thing I want to ask you, I need to get your thoughts on Arsenal Newcastle. Like 4 goals, clean sheet. No, we didn't get a clean sheet. 4 goals though, 3 points. We're living.
Yeah, that was a good game of football, and I thought we was going to win that game ahead of time. I know there was a lot of people saying, oh, that's a tough game, 8 o'clock after the poor loss. I knew it because I've seen all of these same patterns with Arsenal. Arsenal always thrive when they're in their own little comfortable zone and their own little bubble. Giving them a knockout game in Champions League, abroad, with European refs.
Favorable, man.
Do you know what I mean? They haven't got the mental capacity for that. So for me, that Newcastle game, I didn't thought it was going to be like 4s, and I thought we will win like 2-1, maybe a 3-1.
I went 3-1 as my prediction. Yeah, I didn't expect.
Yeah, I thought we would definitely win, because that's just Arsenal's pattern. They're back in their comfort zone of playing at the Emirates, in the Premier League. They know how to go about that. And that's always my thing for Arsenal. It's why do we always look so inept when there's just any level of pressure put towards us?
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? If that is there under Arteta, because I can't lie, I think we've kind of improved at that, but I can't sit here and say that when, you know, like what you said with Porto. So why do they say football's a reflection of the manager? Why is that, if that is the case under Arteta for you?
I think it is a reflection of the manager, because the exact same way how he always comes out and he's saying, oh, we've got a thin squad or they're young players. That's by design.
Yeah.
That's by design. So that comes part and parcel with it. But I also think it does come down to the element of just prehistoric history of Arsenal. Because yeah, we've got to a Champions League final, but we've never won it.
Say that, man. But go on.
We've never won it. We was in the Europa League for what, 4 or 5 years. We never won it.
Just pain.
Do you see what I mean? So my thing is this: it's sort of in the DNA of, and even when you look at Arsenal sort of pundits when they're talking about Arsenal, they always go, "This is the type of game Arsenal normally struggle with." That's always been the narrative from when I was in school.
Yeah.
And we've never ever been able to shake that. And I think it does come down to Arsenal, just that nice club. It's a nice club. We had a long-term manager in Wenger, right? We've got owners who are not like Abramovich, who are just like cutthroat, you're out of here. Because when you have that type of leadership, it also creates certain type of fans. Look at the start of the season. You had Man City fans booing.
Yeah. You're right about that. You're right. And that wasn't always the case under City when they had Danny Mills and all them kind of brothers.
No one cared about Man City back in the day with Dickov and the man there.
Yeah. They're crazy. Big up them, but remember the humble beginnings, them man.
You know what I mean? But now you got to think, how can you be a Man City fan and booing at halftime?
Yeah. Especially after you just not too long ago won a treble.
Right. It's expectation.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're conditioned to know. And I think it's just in the heritage of Arsenal, bro. We're not conditioned for high pressure situations, but we're not.
And that's what kills me.
And the only change what's going to come is when you start getting cutthroat, when you're like, oh, what, no title? No domestic? P45. But people don't like that, because we like that narrative of we're Arsenal, we're clean cut, we don't move like this. And the saying is true, bruv. Good guys finish last, bro.
It is true. But that's where I think, you know, as much as I like Arteta, I think there needs to be an element of ruthlessness, because for me, I rate you. I think you're one of the best managers in the Prem. I think you've done good things. But if I'm saying this about you, then in the same way, kind of what you alluded to with Pep, if Pep's doing shaky things, obviously he's not in the same realm, but I'm going to ask questions. And for me, you can't have it both ways. You can't say the manager and the players are this, that, the other, bring on Real Madrid, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then they expect, or when things go wrong, it goes on the floor. It's either you praise people or you hold it. It don't make sense. It's like some fans, and then there's a lot of agendas, but I'm speaking for the clean-hearted Arsenal fans. It's like some people like to have their cake and eat it, and I think that's dead. I do think it's difficult and very difficult to judge it on trophies, but at the end of the day, Arteta himself says we want silverware. If you listen to these players, they're not indirectly saying we're going to win the league, but Arteta, Odegaard, they're all talking about it really. And for me, it feels like, obviously, you know, Chelsea, I hate them, but they're not gonna lie down for long. United, they're not gonna lie down for long. City are gonna have to live post Pep, and they're still gonna be up there, but they're not gonna have a generational coach. It feels like we're ahead of our little thing that we're doing. And if we can just leverage this, we can pick up 1-2 trophies before things change. Because as you know, the Prem's only going to get more competitive. You know, Newcastle got new money. Probably like in 2 weeks, there could be another bid for another club. It's adapt or survive. And you're right, because I do think we've got a bit more grit. But I think there's too much nicety and cutthroatness. I do think Arteta has shown elements of it. You know, when Tierney went, when Aubameyang went, rightly or wrongly with Ramsdale. But
but I don't think it's that same level of
no, it's not the ruthlessness required to win a Prem.
The consistency. You know what I mean? He's not consistently ruthless. I more look at Arteta as a case of, you know, I think he likes the environment where he could control, and I think he signs players like that. So when the beginning of January, when everyone was talking about Ivan Toney, I was like, "You're crazy. We're not getting Ivan Toney."
It's gonna be
because
beef.
he doesn't want those type of individuals. He wants those nice guys. He wants that. And why do you think it's Project Youth? He
You
wants
can
those
go, you
guys
can
who.
guide them and mold them in the way you want without the back check. Because we've had years of these
That's it.
established pros just
I'm
chatting.
just pleased to be here. When you're young, 18, 19, 21, 22, and you're playing for Arsenal,
You're gassed.
you're pleased to be here. But we
You're
need
gassed.
some of those guys who was like, no, that don't make sense. We need some of those characters who you might get into a bust up with. Look at Arsenal's history, right? Of when we were super successful. When you look at that sort of
Bro,
British back
we've
five,
won a league title at Spurs, and man want to fight each other. That was my childhood.
but this is what I'm trying to say. I'm from the same. I'm from Keown, Elbow and Man at Old Trafford.
This
Let's
is
have
it.
it.
Lauren moving brazy and that.
Bro, this is it. So when I'm looking at our previous success, you have to have some of that element in the sort of lineage of your team. You can't just have youngsters, Saka, Martinelli, and all the dependencies on those guys. And I know, you got the likes of Jorginho, who's been in a couple bits of
The
form
experienced
recently.
players can't really be relied on like that.
You
Man,
can't
if I'm
rely
honest.
on those guys.
The ones we have at this moment, anyways.
Do you know what I mean? We that, and so when I'm saying I want like midfielder, I want winger, they need to come with that type of characteristics. It needs to be something different from what we've currently got. It can't just be another guy who just nice, goes underneath the radar, clean cut. No, that's why I wanted Ivan Toney. Because I
I'm
wanted
not here
someone
to
who's
make
got that
friends. I'm here
sort.
to win football games. That's what Craig Bellamy says, and I live by that. I
But
wasn't
you know what
against Tony.
I wanted Ivan Toney because he's got that mandem attitude of, bro.
Even when he talks, he's like, I believe I'm gonna score every game. Our striker, I'm not trying to do Jesus dirty because I fuck with you, but you say goals are not my strong point. There's levels.
I lost it when I heard that.
Do you know what? The wickedest thing with hearing that is like when I saw it on social media, I got vexed. But then when I looked at what he's saying, it shows self-awareness. But for me, it left me feeling a bit of a way. Where Ramsdale says he can't concentrate, when Zinchenko says defending is not a strong point, it's a bit mad. Collectively, it's a bit mad. I'm being ignorant, but it's mad.
It's the conditioning.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how you're only comfortable to say that. It's like
So you should be keeping that to yourself, really.
That's what I'm saying. There's things that you think, and then there's things that you say, bro. And we all need to know this, and we all have this within ourselves, because it's like now we're talking here. If you get like a job interview call right now, your whole dialect's gonna change.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we're aware of who we're speaking to.
Fact.
As a professional football player, you can't sit there and say, I find it hard to concentrate.
Because many fans aren't even going to read what you're saying. They're just going to see the little segment and you're done.
And run with it.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't agree with that, because you shouldn't be ignorant. You should have the comprehension skills, but at the same time, you know human nature. You know what's going on. You know the even interview platform that you're on are going to do that. So be self-aware, man. My last question for you then, yeah? Where do you think the title goes then? Like, I'm unfortunately, I think City, bro, but maybe there's some optimism from me.
For me, like I said, it's just the DNA of pressure. I just can't see. I don't know
whether to laugh or cry, man.
Bruv, I can't see it. And you know the wickedest thing is, it's almost you've got to stumble across and maybe get that first one. Like somehow, or some way, we just need to stumble across that line, even if it's on goal difference or wherever it is. We just need to stumble and just get that feeling. Once you got that
then
feeling,
it's lit after that.
Then you could build. You could build from that. Right now, how I look at our team, I'll be more geared to say maybe Liverpool over City.
Why? Because of the clock cutting thing.
I don't even think it's for the clock thing. I just think that Liverpool got different ways to beat people, more so than Arsenal and Man City. I think Arsenal, when we're playing free-flowing football, we look the best in the Premier League. We're cutting teams apart. The centre-back pairing of Gabriel and Saliba looks good. When we're clicking, we look good. My question is, and you saw it against Porto, when we have to go to a plan B, our plan B never looks good. And I said in one of my videos, Arsenal don't have a middle ground. It's either banging or what on earth was that?
And that's the thing, bro. Because for me, I think games like Porto, because a couple of times in my videos across the season, I sit there and say, I know this is the game and we'll talk about it. But honestly, people, I think games like this are decided in August. And I say that with the Porto game. I know it's very different to Newcastle. And I don't necessarily rate Kai Havertz, but you're better up front than necessarily in the left eight. Jorginho can play ball. Jorginho and Rice play together. It's a functional unit. You know, Kirio can look better on the ball because you're not demanding him to, you know, contribute in build-up play. Benjamin White's back to being a traditional guy. I think, you know, the Porto game, I believe in what you're saying in that, you know, with this the mental block, I think, you know, they're very street smart. The refs got into it. They were very compact and rigid. But I think a big part of it is because of how we're playing. We commit to playing one way and the personnel don't actually play in the best way. Like, I don't think Havertz is necessarily a great replacement for Xhaka, even though he's quote unquote found his feet. And this is where I feel like it does feel for me with Arteta and Edu, for as much praise or criticism I give them, it's like you're standing in the rain with no jacket and now it's raining, you're complaining like it's your fault. Like your mummy might have said bring a jacket, Manda might have said it's raining. If you went out there, you have to hold that. And that's why I think, you know, we need to be a lot harsher with balance with Arteta and Edu. Me personally, I just can't look beyond City. They're the big bad bullies. Liverpool's injuries might be shaking it, but them two need to drop points for us to do it, bro.
Yeah, because I'm on the fence between City and Liverpool, because watching City over the last few games, they don't look great. They're getting their 1-0s.
The Bournemouth one could have went left, but didn't.
You know what I
mean?
mean?
Like, he needs to start going like that.
But that's the difference with those two. It's City, we know what they want to do only. It's dominate the ball, rip teams apart. They haven't really been playing like that for the majority of the season. But especially now with De Bruyne back, what they do have is someone who will just smash in from 25 yards.
Stardust.
Or what do? They start spamming diagonals to Haaland and they win that way.
And one's going to pay off in it, yeah.
You know what I mean? With Arsenal, it's like, okay, if we're not ripping teams apart, what do we do? And when we look at the beginning of this run of these like sort of 5 games, the first couple games of that run, these were coming from set plays, penalties. Do you know what I mean? And then we open up. My question is, why are we not just establishing that from game after game or just going after teams? Do you know what I mean? So I'm looking and I'm thinking Arteta's seen it from last year and he tried to put the handbrake on a bit from last year of being, let's rip teams apart first 15, 20 minutes, 3 goals
and then
up.
switch on.
Do you know what I mean? So I think he's trying to get this balance, but I don't think he recruited well for that balance, because we was ripping teams apart playing with a Xhaka. And I'm just thinking, bro, all we had to do is just drop in a direct Xhaka replacement. And
someone who does what he does, but better, or at a minimum, same level, or we're gone. Then you could have bought your Havertz and done your Havertz thing if that's what you want.
I'm never going to be having Havertz for me, bro, because it's I know people saying, oh, but he scored on the weekend, bro, for 65 million, and you're playing up top for Arsenal in the Premier League in a 6-yard box. I expect you to score that goal.
I mean, he's better with his right foot, man. His last 2 finishes look like they've come with that right foot.
But then look what happened. When he had time and had to think about what he needed to do, he put it wide.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying with you, bro. I accept Havertz for what he is. You know, any other player, bro. That's the only way I accept you in it. Like, there's some things I think you do very well. None of them are on the ball. I think his movement's good. I think he's intelligent. I think he presses well. Again, players should be able to do this. I'm not supporting Havertz. Players should be doing this. But this is what I think you do. I think there's 1-2 games where, like Newcastle, like Liverpool, you can operate up front. But when it comes to scoring, for a bit of stardust, for dictating tempo of the game, you can't do that. And I think we needed a midfielder that can. That's why I'm saying I accept Havertz for what he is. Like, I'm at the point now, I can't get at Havertz. I have to, as much as I back Arteta, you brought him in. I like Gabriel Jesus, but if you got a striker that says he can't score goals and don't score goals, you brought him in. If we're crying about Zinchenko defensively or saying we can't create because Zinchenko's not there, you brought him in. You brought the system. So this is why I think Arteta has to also face the music for all the praise. But I just think there's too many vested interests where it comes to the guy. But I do feel he's still going to get a new contract, if I'm honest.
No, I think so. And do you not find that the irony of, what would you say his best signing has been today, Arteta?
There's a few, you know. It could be Partey. It could be Gabriel. It could be Odegaard. I'd say one of them 3, you know. I'm probably missing out someone. Would you count Saliba even though he didn't buy him? He brought
Nah,
him back.
so
Yeah,
if
there's not.
all the ones you mentioned and Rice, right?
Yeah, Declan as well, obviously. Yeah.
Is the bucket of players. All of those players you just mentioned is when we've actually gone out and foraged for them instead of saying, "Oh, Man City don't want you no more. I'm gonna come and get you." "Oh, Chelsea don't want you no more. I'm gonna come and get you." It
You're
don't
right,
work.
you know. You're
You know
right,
what I
you
mean?
know.
So that's how I'm looking at it with Arteta. So Zinchenko and Jesus, Pep knew what he was doing. He sold us a dud. He cleaned up the car and he put on oil tray that said "Great runner." That's what
I
he
feel
did.
so dirty doing that, saying that to both of them. I love them both, but you're right, man. You're
But
right.
he knew. Do you know what I
He
mean?
knew he
So
was
when
selling
I'm
us something bookie in it.
yeah, I'm thinking, bro, you're trying to beat this team, but they're willing to sell you 2 players. Make
Yeah.
that make sense.
At first, I was hoping that Pep's just doing his little bro a favor, but then you're right,
No,
man.
there's no favor in this. Pep's a
Yeah,
winner.
you're right. You're right. You're
He
right.
knew. He
Pep's the
was like,
bastard.
bro, this
Pep is
guy
the
can't
bastard. Yeah.
defend. He's always injured. This guy doesn't score goals. Yeah, his link-up play is sensational, but he don't score goals. Take him.
I'll live without him. Yeah.
Yeah, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna move Ake there, bare defender. I'm gonna go and buy Haaland, bare striker. There you go.
You
Now
got
look
Alvarez
at
as well. It's all
look
wavy.
look at this run. Are they playing? No.
This is it. And that's my biggest issue because Zinchenko has always been injury prone, but no one says anything. I love Jesus as a footballer, but I think if you're going to play for Arsenal, unless you wake up and you can score goals, we need to take away the reliance from you scoring. Let's just hope we can do this thing, man. But Jay, before I let you go, let people know once again where they can find you. This has been a fantastic stream. We have to get this going more often, my boy.
Yeah, yeah, bro. Yeah, man. JayFergusonTV on YouTube. Hit me up, man. TikTok as well, JayFergusonTV as well. And yeah, man, we definitely got to do this again, bro.
Come on, man. Again, people, by the time this video comes out, you just have to click the title. His @ will be on that and go into the description for his TikTok. Let us know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And all that good stuff. But for now, Jay in the chat, peace. Safe.
Take care, bro.
Come on, man.